Hey everybody, Ben here from Cinderblock Studios, and today I'm back with another product review. We're looking at today Liquitex paint markers. So I want to start by saying that this is actually my first experience in having and using paint markers. There are other companies that make them, and some people say that there are other companies that make them better, but for a traditional fine painter like myself, this is sort of my review of them. I'm not looking at them in terms of street art, I'm looking at them in terms of fine art. Now for a lot of reasons, mostly including cost, I was a little hesitant to try these at first because it was like $9, $12 for a single marker, and I was like, that seems a little overpriced. However, since playing with them, I've actually found ways to really kind of transform the way that I paint and the way that I think about the usually early process of a painting. Now, one thing I definitely didn't think I'd be talking about in this video is the overall build quality of these markers. They're relatively lightweight, but the weight of the paint in them really just feels really good in your hand. The caps both pull off relatively easily, as well as really snapping back into place so you know they're secure. Plus, the general usage and design of the markers is very simple. Felt tip pen with a pump cap, making for very quick and easy lines. But okay, design's nice, but what are the real pros and cons here? I found that these markers, particularly the small ones, but the big ones too, are really great for early and mid-painting sketching. They keep a nice long flow between sort of that first pump and mark, and you can usually draw with them for about 30 seconds to a minute before you need to grab a little bit more color with another pump of that tip. Another big advantage to these markers is that they're refillable. I actually would usually recommend refilling them with some golden high flow, but you might be able to do it with a slightly more watered down version of the Liquitex soft body, or maybe even the inks. Now on the downside, these tips, specifically if you didn't use a ton of them, they will leak a little bit in storage. And I did notice that it did sort of leak into the caps. Now because the cap is sealed, it won't usually dry into the nib itself and make it unusable, but it is something to note as you work going forward. In addition, this may or may not be a con depending on how you use your paint markers, but while they're really good on dry canvas, if you're going color into color, these nibs will pick up on any wet color that's already in your painting. So if you're painting, say, with a white paint marker and you have a lot of maybe yellows or greens, it's going to start to pick up on those yellows and greens. So when you go into a new section, it's still going to have that color, and you kind of have to work it out, usually on the side before you go back to the canvas to get that pure white. I've also found that depending on the surface you're working on, for me, a lot of times that's canvas, the tips are going to wear out pretty quick. Now you can replace the tips. They do sell replacements specifically for the small ones because you can't reverse the tips on the small ones. The big ones you can reverse the tips. They are reversible, so it's a little easier to do that. But for the small ones, you're kind of just going to be buying some extra tips or just extra markers. Despite a few downsides, I feel these are really great sort of entry-level markers for the studio-minded fine artist. However, traditional graffiti artists might find these lacking a little bit in overall quality. But again, if you're more classically minded, you know how to actually take care of your art supplies and not just rub them on walls constantly, they're probably going to last you a little while. Now for me personally, I really love specifically the black, white, and neutral gray markers because of what they're allowing me to do to really kind of expand my painting and kind of bring in a lot of techniques that I associate with my ink work and my sketchbook and bringing those onto canvas, which is really, really great. I think in the long run, I'll definitely be keeping these markers in my regular set for a variety of different projects and a variety of different techniques. So what about you guys? Have you used these Liquitex paint markers, and what are your thoughts on them? If you haven't used them, has my review of them inspired you or made you think, yeah, I think I'll pick these up? But regardless of what's your situation, jump in the comments, let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Get subscribed if you're not already. And this has been from Cinderblock Studios. See you guys next time.